Alright, so that's your question 1 on the quiz. You're gonna put it in descending order, you're gonna classify it by degree, so that's quadratic, quintic, cubic, or quartic, and then you're gonna state what kind of nomial it is based on how many terms there are. So 3 terms is a trinomial, 2 terms is a binomial, anything more than 3 is just a polynomial, and if it's only 1 term, so if it's like 7, okay, then that makes it a monomial. 7 is a constant, that's a vocab word. We didn't go over that, make sure you study your vocab. Okay, so those first few. Alright, so now what we're gonna do is we are going to graph some cubics. We're gonna do a couple by hand and then a couple, well there's only 3. We're gonna do like 1.5 by hand and then 1.5 using the calculator to help us. So the first thing you're going to do is note that it's a cubic. Okay, so if it's a cubic, then it's either gonna look like this, or it might have some lumps in it, or it might go the other way.
Let me just look at my calculator. Oh, my calculator's really
Let me look at the calculator.
So it's gonna say that on the quiz, but if you like graph it.
Don't drop it. God damn. Don't drop
No,
it.
no. That's
Will you pass this to
Get
Armand?
this wrong.
Put a charger, please. On my
Alright, so if it's a positive cubic, so if x cubed is positive, then it's going to go up. Yeah, it's going to increase. If it's a negative cubic, then it's going to decrease. So this one is a positive cubic. So in general, it's going to increase. Okay, so we're going to make a table of values over here. I'm going to plug in -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Let's see what we get.
He's not bad.
Okay, so take -2.
We could graph this in our calculators.
Eventually, not right now. We're not dependent on the calculator all the time. We're just going to use it for certain things. Okay, so if you plug in -2, -2 cubed is what? -8.
What?
-2 times -2 times -2 is -8.
Yeah, -8.
Then you're going to take half of that.
Fall.
Okay, so that's your first point. Graph it. Okay. Okay, then you're going to plug in -1. So what's -1 cubed? Take half of it.
-1/2.
So fraction, decimal, I don't care. Whatever you want to do. So graph that.
0, 0.
Okay, 0, 0.
1 is 1.5.
1 is going to be 1/2.
2 is gonna be 4.
2 is going to be +4. Okay.
Is it always like that?
That looks a little.
Not necessarily. There's more terms in there, it could have more fluctuation. Alright, so this graph is doing this.
I had a pure 6.
Now, Logan,
Sorry.
every graph we're going to describe the end behavior. Okay, the ends are going up or going down. Okay, if you look at this particular graph, what is this end doing? Up or
Going
down?
down. So
There
it's
you go.
negative. Or down.
And then what is this end doing?
Up.
Okay, it's going up. In addition to that, we're going to say when it goes up or when it goes down. Okay, so it goes down as this graph drifts to the left, right? So as it goes to the left, it goes down. So it's going down as x decreases.
Do we have to write that?
Yep.
There was one.
As we go to the right, Logan, it's going to go up as x what? Right, because x increases to the right and it decreases to the left. Okay, so that's what end behavior is. You're describing what the ends of the graph are doing in relation to what the x's are doing. So as x decreases, it goes down. As x increases, it goes up. Okay, and it's going to do that every time it's a positive cubic. If it's a negative cubic, then it'll do the reverse because it's basically like reflected. So it'll look like one of these. Okay, then there are things called turning points. Now, this particular graph doesn't have any. Turning points are where the graph changes from increasing to decreasing or from decreasing to increasing. But if you follow the graph, it's going up, increasing, 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 increasing. It's increasing the whole time. Okay, and there is an area where it kind of slows down and then speeds back up, but it's not changing direction. Okay, so an example of that would be like this one over here. Do you see how it's decreasing and then like right here it starts increasing, and then right here it starts decreasing again? So those would be turning points. This one doesn't have any, so sometimes you have them and sometimes you don't. When you have them, I'm going to show you how to find them on the graphing calculator, okay? Those turning points will be either
Maximum.
a
Or
maximum
minimum.
or a minimum.
We don't need to find this, but could we find a zero or?
Yeah, you can find this, I mean, this one's 0, 0. But yeah, we're gonna also find zeros, and you can do that on your calculator as well. So that's what we'll do for that next one. Okay, so does anyone have questions about this particular graph?
Nope.
Okay, so let's do the next one. I'm gonna do a couple of things by hand, and then we're gonna do some stuff on the calculator. Now, one thing you can do for every graph is find the zeros. Some of them will be easy to find, some of them you won't be able to find without a calculator. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do it both ways. So in order to find the zeros without a calculator, and this is kind of what we're doing throughout this chapter, so you are eventually going to have to do this by hand. Okay, so you're going to take whatever it's equal to, y, f of x, whatever, you're going to make that 0, and then you're going to try to solve. So for this particular one, okay, in order to solve, we would have to take out a greatest common factor. So what would that be?
I cannot connect.
X.
So you take out X.
Later.
You can take out an x.
So then it would be 0 equals 3, or X, oh yeah, so then it would be
And then 3.
3 minus
X squared.
There you go. Okay, so you can take out a greatest common factor, and now we have the zero product property where we're going to take each of those factors and set them equal to 0. So you're going to set x equal to 0 and 3 minus x squared equal to 0.
So basically what we did is last chapter.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
So 1 is 0, so you have a 0 at 0, 0, which is right there.
Yeah, and then 1 is
And then this one's not so pleasant.
3.
How can we solve this?
Add X squared,
Okay.
and then it's 3 equals X squared, then divide
And then
by.
this code was
Square
Or
root.
square root it, so it'd be like what? 1.5.
So it's plus or minus whatever the square root of 3 is, which it's approximately 1.7. Okay, so those are going to be like here-ish and here-ish. Okay. So you have 2 other zeros at the positive square root of 3 and the negative square root of 3.
Alright.
Okay, so those are your zeros. So as you can see, I already have 3 points on my graph.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to need some more points, because if I graph those 3 points, it's just going to look like a straight line, and that's definitely not what it is. So we need to plug in points that fall like in between these points. So what numbers are in between those guys?
1.6.
Easier.
Oh, okay. 1.
1.
and
0.
0.
We already did 0.
Positive 1 and negative 1.
Negative 1.5.
Positive 1 and negative 1 are the easiest.
We should do 8.
So we're just going to plug, you don't want to do 8. We're just going to plug those in here.
3 minus 1.
Okay. So 3 minus 1 cubed
2. What?
is 2.
Oh, yeah, I wrote this down. I thought you saying 1 cubed is
That'll be negative.
Wait.
Negative.
Yeah, negative 4.
So this is going to be negative 3
minus
minus negative 1.
Or
That's not 4.
Negative.
Oh, negative
Negative
2.
two.
It's negative 2.
I was gonna say, I was sure.
Yeah, I know, but they didn't say that.
I was
Okay.
confused.
So when you connect these points, you want to connect them like either left to right or right to left, like all
Yeah, let's
in
go
one.
weird.
Don't like just like randomly try to connect points.
Go box.
So you're gonna go from negative 1.7 to negative 1, and you're gonna go up to 0, then you're gonna go to 1, and then here. The rest of this is gonna continue to go down and continue to go up. It's not gonna go back down, or we would have found another 0. And also it's a cubic, so it can't do more than like 2 humps. Yeah.
So then it's gonna be like maximum, minimum. Or
There is going, and I'm gonna show you how to find those on the calculator. Okay, so there is going to be a maximum and a minimum. And then so that means we have turning points. Okay, and we're also gonna describe the end behavior.
Crazy.
Wasn't the maximum gonna be
Okay, so end behavior. What is this end doing?
Going up.
Going up.
Because you X decreases.
Okay, so it is going up as X decreases. Okay, what is this end doing?
Going down.
Okay, so it's down as X
Increases.
increases. So that's your end behavior. Now, to find, so up here where it says f of x, you're gonna type in 3x minus x, and then there's no cube, so you have to hit the little caret button, which is here, so to the third power, and then press enter.
Good. Nice, weird looking boy.
Okay, so is that what we have?
Yes.
Basically,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what we have. Sometimes the graph could like dip below or above the points that you find. Okay, so sometimes that happens. In this case, it looks like we graphed it pretty well. So to find exactly where the max and min points are, you're gonna go to menu. You're gonna go down to analyze graph, okay, or number 6. You can click the number 6. And then in there, you're gonna find, let's find the minimum first. Okay, so minimum. You're gonna take this dotted line, okay? You're gonna bring it all the way over here to the left of your minimum point. And you're gonna click. After you click, you're gonna bring it over here, okay? Somewhere to the right of the minimum. Don't go all the way, okay? Don't go too far or you'll see it disappears. You see that? Okay, don't go that far. You're just taking the dotted lines and you're surrounding the minimum. Don't do too much. Okay, and if you click again, you'll see it'll bold the point. Okay, so our minimum is at -1, -2. This is considered a turning point. Alright, as you can see, there's another point up there that matters, the maximum. So you're gonna repeat the process, but with maximum. So menu, analyze graph, maximum. So to find the maximum, you're gonna go a little bit to the left of your maximum. You're gonna click, you're gonna go a little bit to the right, and you're gonna click again. Okay, and you'll see it found your maximum. So both of those are turning points.
One question.
Oh,
Yeah.
For the minimum, if you find like that, can you just switch the signs and that's it? Or
No, not all of them are symmetric.
oh, of course. Can't you just do it yourself or something?
No, because sometimes it goes past the point you find. If you don't plug in, like, the minimum could be at -1/2.
Yeah.
In this case, we just got lucky and it was at the point that we found. But most of the time, it's not at a nice number and you won't be able to find it. Yeah.
What you say to do after we get the minimum?
Do the same thing and find the maximum. Now, if you don't find the zeros by hand, if you want to find them using the graphing calculator, okay, you do menu, analyze graph. So as you can see, everything is menu, analyze graph. Okay, and then the first option is 0. There are 1, 2, 3 places where your graph touches the x-axis. So that means there are 3 zeros.
Yeah.
So the first one, if you want to go all the way to the left of the 0, like of this one, click and then drag this across and click. You'll see it says -1.73, 0. So it's going to round, okay? It's not as accurate as if we solve using algebra, but it does find the approximate location of that 0. And then you could repeat the process 2 more times to find the other 2, which we don't need to do because we actually already know where they are. So that's how you would find the zeros on the calculator. Okay, some zeros you can find without a calculator and some you can't yet. But in general, what we're focusing on in this chapter is finding zeros or roots of polynomial functions. So at some point, you'll be able to find them all without a calculator. Some will be easy, some will be more difficult, but you're gonna be able to find them all without a calculator by the end of the chapter. What I want you to be able to do now on your quiz Wednesday is all of this stuff using a calculator.
Cool.
Okay, so basically if you have your calculator, it's charged and you know how to use it, you should be able to get like at least a 50. There's gonna be one question that does not use the calculator at all, and then the first question, as I said, was
So you should at least
classify.
get a 70 then, right?
Well, I don't know, it
If you show
depends
one.
on if you know your vocab words.